Is it possible to truly be honest without hurting someone is a question that one of the viewers have asked. They're talking about brutal honesty in terms of like, could it be just whoever's telling the person what's what, just getting like an ego flex out of it. They were also touching on whether or not it's possible that people just they don't want the truth, they just want comfort dressed up like it. And I thought that was a good little way to phrase it, you know, comfort dressed up as the truth. Because a lot of people, they don't really want to hear what they need to hear. They just, or what's what, you know. They just want to get on and be told that they're doing things right. First, let's light the pipe and then let's get on with it. Let that sit for a minute and do its thing. It needs to go out. We'll do our second light in just a more. I figured out what was wrong with the pipe in the last video. Actually, it turns out that the filter was just a little full. So yeah, I had to give that one a bit of a switcheroo and breaking it down further. They're basically saying, can you tell someone what they need to hear without it being offensive? So just in regards to the baseline question of what we're talking about here, before we dive right into it, is it possible to be honest with someone without intentionally trying to be brutal or disrespectful? Yes, 100%. You can, of course, you can go out your way to try and tell them something without being offensive. Whether they get offended or not, that's down to them. It's a different question. That's a different question altogether, you know. I always find it best to be brutal, because it's only brutal to you, you know. You might say, oh, I don't like this about you, but someone else absolutely loves that about them. Obviously, if you mention like, oh mate, I hate the way that you're always calling us names, for example, someone else might love the fact that they're always getting tortured by that same person. If you don't like, for example, those name callings I was just talking about there, then, and they say that that's just who they are, other people, they get on with it. Maybe that's just who they are and you need to move on, like. And being brutally honest is the very thing that allows you to see where they stand and where you stand, you know, and decide whether or not you actually want to stick around. And if they aren't willing to change, then hint, you shouldn't stick. Not in terms of the sense of making everyone change and bend to your will, but in terms of the sense of understanding who they are, who you are as well, and what you want out of, you know, your friendships, relationships, things like that, and being able to decide that who they are doesn't work for yourself. It's not about making them change, but just checking before you change. Is it possible to be truly honest without hurting someone? I feel like I would have to say it partly comes down to the person that is receiving the message as well, because if they are in a place of understanding that you're just expressing truth and just saying your honest opinion, and you're not trying to be a nasty pasty about it, you're not saying, you're horrible this and you're fat that and you're a cunt and you're a dickhead and calling them all like names and being nasty. You know, if you're just being truthful and saying, you know, you're not pulling your weight here, you do this and that annoys us, and you know, and honestly it's just not been working out. Is this something we can sort out, or is this something that's like a something here to stay, game changer? I suppose there's some people that are just never going to be ready to hear the truth. That's something that really puzzles me, how some people just can't hear the truth. I struggle sometimes to not accept it, but like, it hurts sometimes to hear it, but you've got to. It's the only way to improve, to progress, to be a person. Or should I say to be a good person? Why do you think it is that people don't want the truth? They just want something dressed up like it? It's probably for validation, isn't it? So all of the choices that they've made so far doesn't get invalidated, and basically, turn around calling them an idiot, that they've been walking the wrong path the whole time. They want to feel like they've at least made some right steps along the way. I'd say it's both a flex and a kindness. I'd prefer someone to be brutally honest, as I say, so I can improve. I must say that probably the best life lesson I could ever give anyone is honesty. Like, I try to be honest about everything. Vulnerability, it was when I started trying to tackle vulnerability, trying to be a bit more vulnerable, open, talking about where I'm at and what I need, and it allows people to support you better. But being honest in terms of like who you are and what you genuinely want in life, like, it is a lonely path while you carve it out. It's probably even lonelier to see it while you're in the middle of it, you know what I mean? Rather than being at the other end of it when you've got your friends that are a bit more curated, you've got your lifestyle and your philosophies. That's where you want to be, looking back, going, it was worth cutting everyone off and being lonely for a while. But when you're actually in the moment of, you've already cut everyone off, you're now working on yourself, who you want to be, what stuff you want to be involved in, and which type of people you want to be surrounded by, it gets lonely, and obviously you'll have a period where you don't have anyone in your vicinity in that same sort of sense. And as long as you keep working on yourself and improving and pushing yourself forward in life, it will happen, and you will end up with your group of people, and your refined activities no longer will you be, just playing games or playing ball or smoking all day or things like that. You would go off and you'd do whatever you're actually interested in: science, sports, physics, friggin' art, music, whatever it is. You'd find your people, but it takes time. It takes you have to walk a path. You aren't all on the same path, but you have to go and find each other at some point. You have to be brutally honest, not just for the people around you, but for your own sake, to curate a life that you actually want to live. Because then people know your boundaries, your standards, what you want, the type of person you are. So maybe being brutally honest isn't a flex. Maybe it is kindness, not to the people around you, but to yourself, for believing in your own needs. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. I hope you did get some sort of answer out of that one. And if you've got a question yourself, then go ahead and leave it in the comments. Apart from that, finish your pipe and I'll see you in the next one.